Kia ora koutou, Markie here. I don't usually put the camera on my little self because I'm all grizzled and not easy on the eye. I usually like to try and show you something more pretty, but I'm in an unsalubrious place and I wanted to make a video right now so you get to look at my chops for a change. So I am a psychotherapist, as I may have mentioned, and the purpose of this channel is to get information, life-saving information, to people who have a condition called retroactive jealousy, which is under-recognised. Not many people know it's even a thing. Loads of people have it though, and most of those people that have it are suffering on their own, not knowing it's a thing, not knowing that there's treatment for it, not getting any help. And the same goes for their partners, because the partners suffer just as much. So that's the purpose of this channel, but we also cover lots of other stuff, and sometimes stuff is kind of connected to psychotherapy to some degree. Sometimes it's about mental health, sometimes it's about things that are completely different. So this is not about retroactive jealousy, but it's about psychotherapy, and something that occurred to me that I thought would be good to share. So this video is kind of really aimed at other psychotherapists, other people in the helping professions, people in the talking therapy, so counsellors, psychotherapists, and psychologists, people of related professions. So my background, I'm an integrative psychotherapist. So I've trained in a bunch of different theoretical modalities, as usually called. It's all a bit wordy. Different schools of therapy, and I use what's most appropriate for the individual client. So I draw on a whole range of stuff. I also use a lot of I have a very psychoeducational approach as well. Now this hopefully will be something will be of interest to you, whatever school of talking therapy you come from. And there's a lot of them, so if you're in the field, you'll know that. And they keep coming up with new ones, and they're usually like acronyms and things like that. And some of them are just kind of rehashes of kind of old stuff. When you're old like me, you recognise a bit of that. But yeah, like I said, this will hopefully apply to most therapists, apart from where some schools of therapy where you have a very rigid, very defined approach where you respond to things in a very defined way. I mean, I'm lucky. I've got a lot of I can be very what's the word? I can flow. I can be very fluid in how I work. I can work a lot in different ways. I don't work with the same person twice in the same I don't work with a different person in the same way. And it's a simple thing, really. So basically so I don't mind indulging in a little bit of small talk at the beginning or the end of a session. Some therapists won't do that, and they've got good reasons for doing that. It's often there's good reasons for doing that. It can be an integral part of the way that they work, and their modality, and I've talked about why that might be in other videos when I've talked about psychotherapy. So if you're not a psychotherapist and you're curious about that, check out the other videos. This will go in a playlist for with the other videos that are about psychotherapy. But I'm quite happy to indulge in a little bit of small talk at around the periphery of sessions, because I think it eases people in, makes people feel comfortable. I want people to feel relaxed. I want to be warm, friendly, open. So I'm much more kind of available than a lot of therapists in terms of my own personality and sharing things about myself. I don't tell people my problems. I might tell people some of my challenges and what I've overcome in order to share an example, and I'll do that very, very mindfully. But obviously I only say things in sessions which I believe will be useful to the client. But sometimes I'll be appearing to be just kind of making small talk and talking nonsense, but actually there's always a reason, there's always a purpose for it, even if you like to say it's just to make people ease in and feel more comfortable. And what I find, and I found this for years, I've been doing this a long time, what I found is that if you do that, and you just, you have this, very kind of open, gentle introduction that's quite relaxed, not pressuring the client to get down to it. Often they will make some small talk, and I wouldn't say necessarily 9 times out of 10, but a good 6 times out of 10, that small talk will lead on to something really critical and really useful, that moves the therapy on like crazy. And I don't really want to give examples of this because they're kind of like very personal and very particular to the individual clients that I've worked with. So let's come up with something off the top of my head. Let's see if I can do that. Sometimes I can and sometimes I can't. So it might be something that they're talking about that's in the news, say, or it might be they've just been somewhere. So they might say, "Oh, I've just been to pick up my dry cleaning." All right, and then I might kind of continue that conversation. I might say something that doesn't shut the conversation down and allows it to be open, and then that will lead to some kind of discussion around lifestyle that's absolutely critical. Now, this is not an accident, okay? This is where the psychodynamic theory that informs a lot of how I work comes into the picture. If you don't have the same theoretical background, you might disagree, but the classic kind of the Freudian and the psychoanalytical approach would say that there are no accidents in terms of what we say, especially when we come in to see a therapist. So our unconscious is communicating as much as our conscious mind is. So we will bring things to the therapy session. We can bring things to the therapy session consciously, so somebody can think, "Oh, I've got my therapy session in half an hour, I don't know what to talk about, I don't know what to bring," which is never an issue with me. I always say to people, you don't have to bring stuff, because I've got stuff that I can bring to the session that we can work with. So it's not like a performance. You don't have to come prepped, and it's good if you think spend a bit of time reflecting before the session and what you're going to bring and stuff like that. That's all great. And I encourage that. But if people haven't got anything, or their mind's blank, or they've forgotten to, it's absolutely fine. It's no problem. You're not there to perform for me. I'm there to help you, and I will find ways. I will invite questions or suggest things. So you can bring things consciously. But often it's not the conscious material that is the important stuff. It's the unconscious material, and the unconscious mind will inform the small talk and the small talk if you allow a space for it, and allow enough room for it to either gently come to fruition or gently wither. It will do one or the other. But there are so many times when I've got to something and it's like, wow, so this is the other thing. It's kind of a bit of a myth about therapy, really, is that, it's all about these penny drop moments. So there are penny drop moments in psychotherapy. Sorry, I put my hands by the screen because I'm holding the camera up and it's hurting my arms and I'm getting uncomfortable. Therapy doesn't generally work through clever stuff that the therapist says. It works through the processes of the therapy when you don't even realize it is therapy. Therapy, when it's working well, doesn't necessarily even feel like therapy, but it works. And I could talk more about that, but I do cover that in other videos as well. So therapy, I don't want to give the myth that therapy is all about these eureka moments and stuff, but certainly it can be a big part of them, and when you do get them, it's fantastic. And it's very exciting, and it feels like a real privilege to be alongside somebody when they're having those eureka moments. But I think probably more often than not, they come out of just working with whatever the client brings into the room, just running with it, and seeing what comes out of it, rather than thinking, kind of this kind of conscious structure. How am I going to plan the session, and what shall I do with the session? There's nothing wrong with planning sessions and things like that. All has its place. But I think my advice, as an old dog, as an old soldier, my advice to the younger therapist would be, just allow a natural flow to occur in your session, and notice whatever material is brought into the room. Whether it's, and it might not necessarily even be words, it might be the client's carrying something, you know, they've been to the shops and they bought, you know, I don't know, it could be anything, it could be a baguette, or it could be a snooker cue. They brought something into the session, and you know, if you allow space for, you know, talk about that to emerge, if it comes naturally, you're not forcing it, often that will bring you the most valuable, useful, you know, epiphanies in the session. So there we go. Thank you for that. I just thought I'd share that with you, and let me know your thoughts, especially if you're a therapist. Rangimarie.